So everyone, today's last session is going to be something very, very fun. So I'm very excited to inviting our few folks who are going to be leading this open forum together, like Evan from BUIDL, Anna from ZK, and Louis from Luxo, going to be all joining to the stage. But this is not like a panel, like we're going to discussing things and you listen. It's rather, we want to have a discussion with you, predicting 2025 narrative, and also all the like controversial opinions around that. So I will be quickly joining here. But again, there are going to be a microphone running around the audience, so please, like, welcome to join us. So shall we start with the introduction? Okay, so I may start from here. So I'm Amji, who has been bodying this afternoon session as an MC. Tomorrow I'm going to be speaking about also developer first community. But long story short, I'm Amji, head of research and operations in Cloud, which is the global education community focusing on developer and early stage founders. Today, I'm very, very excited to come here supporting BUIDL Europe and sharing my thoughts.
Okay, hi, nice to meet everyone. My name's Louis. I'm the head of experience at Luxo. We're a layer 1 social blockchain focused on making everything social by default on chain, almost like a decentralized operating system. Yeah, and I've been in this space for about 5-6 years, spent the first part of my journey at Chainalysis, and then had some fun, and then went to Luxo, and I've been here for about 2 years.
Does this work? Good. My name's Anna. I'm the host of a show called the Zero Knowledge Podcast. I created a company called ZKV. We have also done investments. We're a validator running on multiple networks. We've done investments. And then I also have a project called ZK Hack, which is an educational hub for ZK learning.
GM, everyone, thank you so much for staying with us through this exciting day of content. My name is Evan McMullen. I'm the co-founder of Bravado ID, advisor to Boys Club. Been on chain for a little over a decade, so I think I'm qualified for this IRL shitpost.
Do you want to start?
Immediately, yes.
And I think one quick caveat is that if you do have like a compelling point, or like if the mic is passed to you, you get one of these caps. Just putting it out there.
Yeah, I think this is supposed to be very interactive, so do join in. Be ready with questions, comments, ideas.
We're just here to facilitate.
Excellent. An open forum. Participation is encouraged. I'm going to try to say things that will incite fire and disagreement in all of you, so please be vocal. So perhaps to begin our discussion today, one of the concepts that we've covered a lot is the intersection of AI and crypto. Earlier, we heard one of our colleagues, Don, note that it is very much like sex in high school. Everyone is talking about it. No one is having it. So, esteemed panelists, I'm curious, what do you think is more likely? Will we continue down the path toward AI slop on Twitter and just end all of our posts with a list, this is the last post in this thread? Or do we think we're going to see adoption beyond basic DeFi trades and generative content this year? My thought, probably not. Not at scale, only for niche use cases that are specifically focused on business processes.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of experiments. I kind of disagree with you. I don't know that we see companies, or I don't know if we see full-fledged products, but I do think, there's so much experimentation, also like ZK, blockchain, AI happening in our ecosystem that for sure there's going to be more of that.
I kind of agree with both and then disagree a little bit with both. I think
we're so balanced.
I'm like, what's going on? It's like yin and yang. I think that AI agents are going to be predominantly important over the next 12 months for primitives that haven't really been used. And I think when you look at it from like the EVM space, a lot of the standards and a lot of like what we're building on has been the same for the last 10, 11 years, at least around adoption. And I think it's going to be really exciting to see AI agents using different standards, different primitives to finding different use cases that don't really exist outside of DeFi. And I think that's something that will really maybe come up in the next 12 months. But yeah, AI is imperatively important for humanity, and we need to be careful at the same time.
For me, something I'm really curious about is, like, as we said that, like everyone talking about but not having it. So in the audience, who is actually having AI agent in your project or you're using it day to day, or like once a week using AI agents. So we have only 6 people who is having a great life, and everyone is just talking about it.
That's not bad.
That was actually more. I thought that was like 8, 10.
Yeah.
That's like, what is this? Like a fifth of this audience? It wasn't that bad.
Yes, like especially like all those like who especially raise the hand if you want to share your thoughts. Do we have microphone running? Or I
Potentially
can run.
offensive kickoff here. I think that the popularity of agents is part and parcel with meme coins as a more effective distribution of dopamine and collection of capital and way to fill block space. Change my mind.
Trading agents. So AI agents that trade meme coins and do it much better than people because they never sleep. They gather all of the data from all of the social media platforms, and they know much better than you when are the indicators showing up and when are they showing down. And I can tell you for sure that, so I myself and my team are building infrastructure, so vault management infrastructure. One of the hottest takes and the most in demand vaults are powered by AI agents for meme coins. It is insane. And I'm telling you, they're outperforming everything and everyone.
So is this a race to the bottom?
Yeah, that sounds
The
like
AI agent? Maybe.
So, okay.
So the trick about the meme coins is that they are fun. It's just gambling, and we all know this, and it's just that like hit of endorphins, right? The problem with vaults is they are performant, but they take away the endorphin hit. Suddenly they move it from being fun gambling to logical and cold and rational. And that's I think the inherent problem of it is, yes, we can make a buck, and I guess making a buck is fun in and of itself, but you took away the gambling element. So what do? Do we go back to the hamsters?
Yeah, I mean, it would kind of be like having an AI agent go to the casino for you and gamble on roulette. It's like, well, maybe you can win, but it's not as fun.
there's probabilities. It'll end on the probability how much you win. Yeah.
What is the role of human delight in the adoption of agentic workflows? Is there one?
I don't have a point. I don't have an answer to that. But what I was going to say, meme coins and why they're taking off. I think if we're here in the industry trying to onboard more people and try to, push crypto adoption globally, and we want to onboard the next billion users, I think meme coins have taken off because the younger generation have been, in it. And I think we got to appeal to the generation Z and alphas. So like Jesse Polak's base, him going via TikTok. I think I'm just thinking in terms of a cons perspective, but we needed to be appealing to a younger generation because that's who's going to be savvy enough to adopt crypto. And yeah, they're the ones that are participating in this meme coin.
I completely agree. I think you're 100% correct. And so then, question on the consumer front, Louis, I know this is where you rock. Yeah. Is the next billion set of users that everyone's talking about, are they exit liquidity for agents? Is that why we need them?
That's what we need. I mean, I agree with you completely. You're completely right. And the reason why meme coins are so fun is because they're social. They're the only social interaction that you can have on chain. And I think outside of just, real traditional DeFi, meme coins are the most amount of fun that you can have on a blockchain. Do you really need to use the blockchain to have fun? I think that's the question. Do we actually need consumer applications on chain in order to have fun with our friends? The answer to that is kind of no. But if we could make the foundation of, let's say, Solana, for example, social, where instead of interacting with, EOAs and public keys, you're actually interacting with profiles, humans, people, the limitations of having fun go, very quickly beyond meme coins.
Louis, are we settling for fun because we don't have utility?
Yeah, I mean, I think we should use tech for fun. Why not?
The thing is, though, meme coins, aren't they just sort of repeat of ICOs in 2017, NFTs in 2021? It's the current thing. Cool.
It's an ICO with a personality.
It'll burn out, though. No offense.
I completely agree, right?
It will go through a cycle. So yeah, I think the AI agents might make that go faster if that's being connected.
The burnout?
Yeah, just the speed of the cycle. Yeah. Of the excitement
we are all dopamine addicts, right? We live off of extremis on social media.
I work in
airdrops
ZK.
and hacks and and meme coins.
I'm pretty degenerate.
Exactly as you were noting, ICOs, NFTs, governance tokens, DeFi 1, DeFi 2. And so are we trying to optimize for dopamine reactions? in addition to financial utility? How is that working for us?
I mean, a lot of dopamine around this room. That we have several people like keep shaking hands. So I must be like giving this microphone to another dopamine addict person.
Yes. Oh, the hats.
Thanks for that.
Don't forget the hats. I will help.
Oh, I am dying for one of those hats. I'm not going to lie. To go back to the AI agent thing, for a little while at the end of last year, it seemed a lot of noise, right? It's like, okay, well, I'm going to have an AI agent to answer your AI agent, and all we're going to have is AI agents talking to each other and just making more of a cacophony on the socials and other places where they exist. But there is one signal through the noise that really caught my attention last year, and that was when an AI agent put out basically a job post for some freelance work, and another AI agent picked up the work, produced the results, and got paid by the first AI agent. And immediately I thought, God damn, at the end of this year, people are going to get paid, hired and paid by AI agents, including some people in this room. And I think that's probably the most significant insight that I have for, like, if we want to look far into the future, what this AI agent, aside from the noise and all the nonsense, like what the future is going to look like, and that's basically AI hiring us.
They are domesticating us.
I think just the fact of having crypto also like enables that. Like, it's because it's all online, all digital, all permissionless. Anything can set, you can create these wallets easily anytime. It's interesting because if you think, like, even if that tech had existed 5 years would be okay, but like if it had existed like 20 years ago, there would just be like no way for it to really tap in so quickly to like financial rails. Yeah.
So I find it interesting what you're saying about people doing jobs. So just while we've been talking, I've had 3 AI agents transforming our contracts from Ethereum to Aptos, Solana, and also I'd have to check, I can't remember what the other one is. But we were going to pay a dev shop $40K to move, Cosmos. It was the Cosmos contract. So we were going to pay a dev shop $40K. We got a grant from Mantra, I think it was, to do that. And we just tested this out today, and it's worked great. So we're just $40K up now. So that's one application of AI agents. The trading
Put
side,
that in the chat.
Yeah. The only problem is these AI agents are like convincing idiots. They're really, really bad at telling you stuff that's just false with a lot of confidence. So there is still, at least for the next 6 months anyway, a job for really sophisticated developers to tell them to do the right thing. On the trading side, though, AI agents have been going since like 87 with the flash crash of 87. First AI agent caused flash crash. So I think it's just a new word for like quant trading, basically. If you go into Millennium or Citadel, you'll find people running AI agents all over the place. In fact, Citibank got told to turn off their AI agent on swaps trading because it was too good, and the regulator thought that they were making too much money. Allegedly, anyway, according to some guy at Citi. But I think I just thought I'd chime in there.
HFT by another name.
And it just reminds me a little bit like a new trends. Like recently, I think Meta canceled the contract with the experts, like fact-checking last 7 years or 9 years with them. And then some of the interpretation of that is now like power is moving to community and AI. That a lot of like social media are using AI and community contributing to like checking its fact, not even checking fact, deciding the fact. So when he said that like a convincing AI, so that if people are convinced by that, maybe it looked like idiot, but it become maybe new truth. So that's a little bit scary and very funny as well.
Intersubjective truth, perhaps?
Intersubjectivity, gonna be another fun thing to discuss. So we a lot talking about AI agent now. Is there any also other narrative, like you think that something gonna be coming in and play a big role in 2025?
Well, wait, you're an ID, as I understand. You work in the ID space. You work in the ZK ID space. I work in ZK. So maybe there's an ID ZK thing we could bring up.
I mean, I think that no one's figured out identity on chain.
I think that a lot of the incentives around on-chain identity are intentionally perverse because hyper-centralizing data about users can be a business moat.
Yeah.
I also think that data exhibitionism has been a great rebrand of surveillance platforms. Like public blockchains are opt-in, globally accessible, permissionless surveillance platforms. They're where you go to be watched.
Yeah.
And I think that the social fabric of the crypto space sometimes likes to pretend that that's not happening and instead encourage users to do it in public where they can be watched so that we can harvest their data and optimize for their agents. So I think that ZK identity is the only way forward that is legal, protects humans, and does not turn us into fodder for the next meme coin. But not necessarily a good or bad thing. I think it's just data for the model.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think there's like two forms of identity. There's soft and there's hard. And like hard identity is like your passport and your driver's license. But we don't really care that much anymore about hard identities. What we care about is our digital footprint. And like, having a username that can't just be taken away from us by, some centralized social media application. And this is when crypto consumer does become important. When applications that you can use, which may be like semi-on-chain, semi-off-chain, but fueled by an identity on-chain, is really valuable. So you can kind of have like this account to log into these apps that can't be compromised.
I think crypto consumers a bullshit phrase. I think all of crypto is for consumers. It's just a question of how good the UX is.
Yeah, I mean, DeFi is for consumer, right? Like every user in this space. But the real question is who actually uses the blockchain, right? Because I don't use the blockchain every day, but I've worked in this space for way too long. I don't know how often both of you use on-chain activities. I mean, when was the last time that you interacted with an app on-chain?
Personally, like right now, a lot. It's the end of the year, but
okay.
Yeah, but maybe not all the time.
Should we get a raise of hands of who in this room interacts with the blockchain daily?
It's like half.
I mean, that's about half.
Degenerates.
Yeah. Love it. Thank the Lord for meme coins.
Yeah, actually, I mean, there's periods where I definitely was less engaged, but recently I feel like I am pretty.
Do you know why?
On-chain. Because it's
off-ramping for Christmas?
Just that was partly why I've been on
Axe
a lot
harvesting before the end of the year.
recently, but I think it's
Q4?
more like. But also I think it's like I feel like in 2020 that was the first time I started to get. I mean, this was DeFi Summer 1, and it was just like there were so many cool, weird things to experiment with.
With your stimulus check?
I'm not American, so didn't.
Well,
have
in the United States, our experience was very much, additional capital into fervor.
Yeah, I think it was boredom, staying at
Also
home
that.
too much. But yeah, then there was periods where, and I think that lasted into 2021, all the dumb experiments. But then there were periods where it was really sad and boring. I don't know if everyone felt this way, but I definitely during that period wasn't as engaged. But now it's exciting again. So yeah, daily. But it's true. Like, I mean, I was working in ZK since 2017, actually. That's when we started the show. And I was always conscious about privacy. And I was always like this is even like before then, with social media and stuff. Then blockchain comes along and this, 2020 comes along and there's this stupid, like, ridiculous DeFi scam thing that's presented. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to YOLO into this with some account. And in my mind, I was like, it's whatever. Like, no one will know that's me. It's just like an anonymous account. But actually, there's lots of ways that they can all be intertwined. And the truth is, what if I expose? Like, if someone finds out, oh, shame, I have my dumb DeFi trades, my bad trading activity. But yeah, it is kind of, that was when I realized how tracked we are with this new system.
Those could be some of the most permanent expressions
I know.
you make as a human on this earth, outlasting you for generations.
Have you learned some lessons from last DeFi crash? So there are going to be a lot of people perhaps working on new way to exploit and new way to protect DeFi. So it's going to be something very interesting. I just saw some hands keep coming up that everyone has some thoughts on different narratives. So we just covered that ZK ID and also AI agents. Just raise any hands of any narratives. Before going to microphones, can everyone, if you think about any narrative beyond this one, can you raise hands just that I can remember? Here. Okay, we're gonna go from the right. So please share your keywords and share things so that we can also flourish this discussion even further.
What's your take right now in network states and pop-up cities that it's becoming a thing now, right? So this is kind of a new narrative. You're seeing right now, I think in San Francisco, you're having a 16-floor building that's going to be only for pop-up cities, which I think is pretty cool. So what's your take on that as well?
I was at Zuzalu in 2023, and it was I didn't really know what to expect, but it was really, really cool that I got to see that one. And I actually, at the end, it's almost looking back, I was like, damn, I wish I had been more engaged. I wish I'd come in knowing a bit more what that would be like. because I would have prepared before, but I didn't know what to expect. I think they're very cool. I think the only problem is they are inevitably a little bit excluding a lot of people who have families can't do that. A lot of people who don't have the budget can't do that. People who don't work the way maybe a lot of us do on a laptop can't do that. So they're awesome in a lot of ways. Great to bring all those people together. But yeah, I think it's it could be that there's a big social backlash against them. I can imagine. I think right now they're not really they're not really found out. I don't know if people really know they're happening in the big mainstream. But I think if they do, it could be that they get attacked eventually. Yeah. Yeah, but it's still they're important. I mean, there's great ideas that are coming out of that.
Town and Country magazine covered Zuzalu in 2023. It's pretty hilarious. Some of your mothers, if they're in the United States, may have read about this, but the assessment that they had, I think, was a little similar to my thought, which is it's kind of like Soho House for people who have so much money they can't spend it in one lifetime. So makes sense, as an emergent property, but I think we need a little bit more development in order to see what it actually looks like.
Yeah.
That to say, though, Zuzalu wasn't actually that expensive because Vitalik subsidized it crazy.
I'm very looking forward to go to Zuzalu one day with my mom. And then there's another questions coming up or opinion coming up.
I also think that fragmentation in events is really important. And I don't think that there's a complete issue of having fragmentation, as long as there's fragmentation on all scales.
We need more fragmentation in the Barachain raves.
More fragmentation will solve fragmentation. And I think Edge City is the best thing out there. Just the technology behind it isn't.
So another vertical that hasn't been touched upon, and we talked about fun on the blockchain. Which of the two is more sustainable according to you? GameFi, a next wave of GameFi, or meme coins?
So I want to shout out WorldCoin, which is currently the largest gaming app on chain, with over 1 million daily active users and a pretty sick Tetris game inside. My misgivings about other aspects of the business aside.
Yeah.
So I think,
big non-fan over here.
Yeah, so if we focus only on the premise of gaming at scale, it seems that simplicity is the most direct route to dopamine, as opposed to a complexity of collecting NFTs and battling them against each other or breeding them to create your new cat NFTs or whatever. And so I think there are a lot of exciting opportunities that are so technically involved, they are getting in their own way. But I think, a lot of those games are fun.
Yeah, I think meme coins are going to burn out. I said that before. But I think for the short term, they're going to win. I think for the long term, I think the games, people are going to get bored of this mechanism. I mean, it's not really a mechanism. It's so boring. It's such a boring game.
But as a Korean, I must talk about game a little bit here. I'm sorry, everyone. But play to earn, I am super against play to earn. That doesn't work. Games should be working pay to play. Game companies should make something very fun, give you a dopamine that people want to spend their time and money. And then maybe once a while you will get certain rewards because you were enjoying your game so much that you got the legendary item you farmed. That works. But play to earn, I strongly disagree.
I think you're right. Play to earn is also a very stupid game.
Yeah.
But game designers can come up with way cooler games on how to also incorporate ways to earn. Just play exactly what you're describing. It's such a boring formula. It's too obvious.
Yeah, I want them to make just so fun game that I want to spend my time over Christmas holiday playing Overcooked. I spent 10 hours, instead of doing something productive. But I was very happy. So I want to pay for a game, not earn.
Yeah,
One of the greatest rebrands ever of do work to get money. Play to earn. Love that.
Maybe we ought to merge that with the pop-up cities, and so you could have play to live. So it's kind of and knowing, having lived in Korea, I'm very familiar with PCbang, right? Yes. And so you could have people that are playing and effectively playing to live in the PCbang. It's just your pop-up city. But the narrative that I was going to throw out, here's my wild card for 2025, is we're going to go back to peer-to-peer and cypherpunk as fuck. I think that people are going to become really hardcore hackers, but they're going to get incepted into doing it. It's going to be the way that we all were using, Napster and FileZilla and all this crap, and those constituted the largest peer-to-peer network on planet Earth. And then they just vaporized, right? And nowadays you need a comp sci degree to run a node for a network that's really whack. All that's changing. We're going to go back to P2P. Believe it.
Emotional return to MySpace. I like that energy.
Anyone else? Any new narrative you want to share? Okay, okay, there's so many hands coming, so I will go to like new hands first.
Hi, everyone. I do have a question. I'm really curious to hear your takes on it. It's not a new narrative, it's rather a comeback. So I would love to hear your takes on DAOs. Are they making it back in 2025 or they never left? What do you think?
I actually would like to know who here has like ever really interacted with a DAO and like relied on a DAO for sanity or
I mean, interacted, yes, but relied on, no.
Relied on, yeah.
I think I've been paid by a DAO a couple times.
For what?
I've been part of a DAO.
Just for your contributions?
Like I think I've been sponsored by a DAO.
To go to events?
No, sponsoring because I throw events. I
okay.
have a podcast, I do events, I do that kind of thing. So I think more than once I've had a DAO sponsor an event.
Same here. I think a lot of like protocols we are working with is kind of DAO in a way, especially if you take community governance. And just for your context, like I'm working at like developer education and early stage founder, like fostering, and many protocols are like through their treasury and DAO governance, like supporting those activity to obviously to make their ecosystem growing. So of course, like interacting with the DAO is not always very pleasant. Yeah. One of our speakers talking about largest DAO, for example, like Polkadot ecosystem, sometimes like it took like ages to get things ever approved. But also it's very interesting experiment to see that we are trying to making a new democracy on chain.
Yeah. Her question there was about like, are DAOs gonna disappear? Did they ever? I think they have never disappeared. But like, it's almost like, are they gonna become a thing? Because they were like almost a thing. They were like, there's a lot of issues that came up. I mean, the fact that there was no legal link to it meant just a lot of limitations. Also, like, to interact with a DAO became problematic. Like, if you do get sponsorship from a DAO and you don't have an invoice or you have no record that you could, like, point to, it can be problematic for people to interact with it. But it's a good question. I have not thought about that. I don't know if anyone else has.
I would say DAOs have always been here, right? They've just been bad at executing the transaction. So I had this discussion with someone a couple of months back. Effectively, the Fed in the United States is the world's biggest DAO. Like, you literally vote in who your delegates are. They do what you want them to do. They work like Aave. The Fed is literally like Aave. It's just a very inefficient shit version of Aave in that Mark Zeller is like basically the chairman of the Fed. And that's how it works, right? It's just you can't move your vote around every single day. So I think probably what you're going to get to is like a version of that on chain, but in the US. That would probably be really sick, but
that would be interesting. Yeah.
Janet Yellen, Mark Zeller, nightmare blunt rotation. But on the DAO front, though, like having founded a DAO a few years ago, Dow Jones. We learned that summoning a DAO for collaborative activities, pretty challenging. Creating a DAO is a function of having launched a mega token, not going anywhere anytime soon.
And also, like, many DAO are claiming being DAO, but they're just, no even DNA. So, like, it's going to be quite interesting to see that, like, a new DAO keep coming up and functioning. I saw your raising hand.
Okay. Well, I actually had two. One, can I just jump into the DAOs? I mean, I've been following DAOs for a while. I'm here with the hat, actually, not punching the hat itself, but of a social scientist. And what I see in DAOs is the lack of social scientists, like political scientists, like constitutionalists and whatnot. And recently, for instance, I was following a lot the Cardano constitutional debate. And participating and whatnot. And not only the political dimension is lacking in DAOs, so people don't understand the politics behind DAOs. So it's very easily for somebody with any knowledge in politics to run and take over DAOs, number one. And number two, if you want to look at the structure in DAOs, all these basic rules of politics are not applicable. So you see that, just the basic infrastructure is just not there. So this is one thing. The second, this is just a comment, right? In terms of the narratives, I don't know sorry, I just came late, so I'm just going to put this now. If you have talking about the geopolitics of crypto, which is something you have?
We have not.
Oh, you didn't? Okay. So I want to put this, like into the for you guys as well, you guys and girls as well, naturally, because I think this is going to be massive, like over the next 2 years. I mean, it was massive already, like after, like the U.S. elections. We've been seeing, reactions, like for instance in the European landscape. The best example, for instance, could be the German, where over the summer they. No, I mean it was
paper hands.
Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying the German sell-off. What paper hands?
No, I mean, because it was funny. I mean, the same people that sold Bitcoin over the summer are the same people that now are saying they should buy Bitcoin for sovereignty reasons, right? And this is already like a play on geopolitics, right? So I think crypto is going to play and is going to have a huge dimension in geopolitics itself. I can go on this. I don't. Or we can have it, like in a break. I just wanted, like to put it on the table.
I wanted to play on what you just said there with the sort of DAOs, and you need social scientists, you need constitutionalists and all these kind of people. But actually, as you said that, I thought, well, what we haven't actually seen is like the AI agents DAOs, like the AI agents interacting with that, because then maybe, I don't know, maybe you get efficiencies or like new balances you wouldn't have expected.
Wait, that's so cool. Okay, a DAO
There was an experiment.
Yeah.
When an agent economy DAO. When was that?
So, Lena, did the governance for those DAOs happen in the Signal chats too?
Seems like. But it's really interesting point that why there's no someone who can talk about a policy in DAO, because actually DeFi, a lot of DeFi failure was not necessarily coming from the a bug or some a coding failure, but sometimes we didn't expect how financial instrument would work, and it made us some cascade effect, and then we tried to follow up and break. A lot of depegging is literally actually a finance problem, not tech problem. So DAO may have some huge exploit if we don't understand those political dynamics.
You're absolutely right. If we think about the compound concerns earlier this year when a number of their delegates were not in a position to be able to participate, and it was described by some as a hack and by others as, oh no, the consequence of our own actions again. And so that absence of discovery, I think, is a disservice done to us by WAGMI, which clearly doesn't work because someone has to be X liquidity.
Exactly. Any more thoughts? Okay, I am running all the way to the back.
That's the lost cat, by the way.
Yeah. Great, thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to pick in on the TradFi angle, because it goes very much against the original ethos of Bitcoin as a peer-to-peer currency for proper peer-to-peer payments without an intermediary, and now we have X% of Bitcoin locked up into ETFs. Ethereum is following. So I'm just wondering, how do you guys see this evolve, and is it a net positive for the space that more people get access to these instruments, but they're not going to be holding the keys themselves?
So we can't get to say take backsies on the concept of permissionlessness. And I think often when we talk about institutions, this is what happens, right? We're building an open permissionless network, but not like that. I think, we are, again, bearing the consequences of our own actions. And to your earlier point on sort of the geopolitical landscape, we live in a society, there are rules, and most of the capital is constrained by compliance that is currently just off-chain. The capture that I think is currently happening is occurring at the hand of institutions that are leveraging exchanges as a way to obscure their positions. I think it'll be increasingly interesting to see what does the governance of ZK Sync look like with Deutsche Bank at the table. I also think that the concept of enterprise chains that we've long talked about, right? In 2017, everyone thought, that every enterprise might have their own chain, and we have enterprise chains today, but they just don't look how we thought because they're from Uniswap and from Coinbase, and they have cool people leading them, and so we don't need to talk about the decentralization. I think institutional centralization, sort of counter to what one might consider to be cypherpunk values, is introducing a really interesting tension where perhaps we might invite a little more rigor to, to our own backyards and shared sequencers.
So I want to bring us back to expanding on the narrative of interacting directly with the blockchain, because my background is primarily in enterprise software, right? Design, marketing, community building, and sales. And something I think a lot about is the user experience, but also the need to know and the need to use. So the question that was posed before is who is interacting with blockchain on a daily basis? But I want to hear what you think about who needs to interact with blockchain on a daily or more regular basis.
Well, I guess humans don't care about technology by default. So if you were just to present to humans or our parents the benefits of using the blockchain, it isn't really enough. And I think that it won't be enough until there's a bad situation where people are like, oh, we need a solution, where is it? And then hopefully by then we'll have it. The only people that really need to use the blockchain right now are people in less fortunate places on Earth that genuinely need those primitives, for like DeFi reasons. But I think everything else right now is almost a bit of a luxury. But, for the people that work in this space, that's probably not the truth. And like, we understand how important ownership really is. But yeah, I mean, my question also is like, what will be the pivotal moment where humans start to understand the value in ownership?
Okay, cool. No, I agree, and I hear that. I think we're seeing a really interesting shift when it comes to economies, utility, and resources, and education. Right? I think the answer, part of that is nobody ever needs to use technology until they need to use technology, right? And you're saying how certain societies and communities are adopting this technology more quickly, partly because they have to. Yeah. So I think we're seeing a really unique shift in knowledge and adoption in certain communities and spaces that is going to be accelerated by AI, by social media, by conversations like this. And I always think about deep technology that's becoming, in the news, in the know, new. And I do believe that for the majority of people, they're not going to need to know the technology, right? Most of us don't know how the internet works or how Google Map works or whatever. But we just use it on a day-to-day basis. And the people who actually build the technology are the ones who are using it because they needed to, one, they have an experience in it, they have a passion in it, but also they needed to do it. And yeah, this is a question that I'm really passionate about as well, to see just the shift in experience, the shift in skill set. I think it's going to shift global economies a lot as well.
Yeah. I as you're speaking, I had another 2025. See, I really don't do these predictions, but like, if there was maybe it's a bit of a hope, but I mean, we're here in Europe, we're in BUIDL Europe, and like, Europe has shown, it's been shown, especially in the last year, to be very, very regulated to the point of suffocating so many things beyond just crypto. And I think in this coming year, there's a reckoning. Like, you're seeing it, the elections are going to be happening in almost all of the major environments, or they might be called if they're not already planned. So yeah, I think there's going to be some really interesting stuff there.
I think also just what I wanted to bring up is, like Louis just mentioned, that users may not care about which blockchain to use, because I think blockchain is a technical product made for technical people to build something. Unless you're using blockchain for financial reasons, at certain countries that you need more sovereignty or a decentralized system. Otherwise, it's developers who need to use blockchain to build something useful for users. Users will not care if app is on Google Cloud or AWS or on blockchain. So that's something I wanted to also a little bit point that one of the narrative coming of mass adoption. I am surprised that nobody actually mentioned the mass adoption as a new narrative, that we still think that we are not ready, maybe. But what I wanted to bring up is still blockchain is a lot like product for developers, not for end users. So we sometimes focus on secondary users, not the primary users.
I mean, I think you're absolutely right. We are all in this room because we have a fetish for protocols. The reason that we have to have that obsession, right, is that We started with the hardware and built our way up. And in absence of things that we can see with our eyeballs that do stuff, we just have to talk about the top layer that's exposed. Exactly as Louis was noting, people do not inherently care about the tools they're using to achieve the outcomes that they're seeking. I have never talked about how sick the TCP/IP is when I get on a Zoom call, and that's because blockchains are not the thing. They're the thing that gets you to the thing. But in absence of that outcome, we either reach for fun, we reach for dopamine, or we reach for the protocol itself.
Absolutely. I cannot add anything there.
Yeah, all to feel almost safe. And I think the way that I look at adoption and the future of this space is deciding what country I want to live in. Right now I'm in Lisbon, I'm currently spending a lot of time in Berlin, and I look at the crypto space in a very similar way. There's benefits to different protocols, to different blockchains, and as a user, as a human who doesn't really care that much about tech, I just want to decide where do I want to live. And where do I want to store my information? Where do I want to spend my time? Ethereum is maybe more like Berlin. Lisbon is maybe more like Solana. And Luxor, we're still deciding.
I feel like Solana is more like a big,
like Hong Kong or something,
corporate city. No?
Yeah.
We are here in this beautiful building built in the early 1600s, celebrating the future of techno-imperialism based on the past of this infrastructure. It sounds like, guys.
So I get a message that we have 2 minutes to go. If someone wants to add one last thing to narrative, otherwise we will go through some closing remarks on wrapping up our thoughts, and we're gonna have a lot more time to discuss afterwards, and also tomorrow as well. So. Anybody? Okay, one last one. I'm going. Unfortunately, you don't have a cap, but I am giving this microphone.
I really want that cap. But besides that, I'm curious about what is your take, guys, on regenerative finance? They tried to do some kickoff, I think, 2023. Do you think it's going to be a thing in 2025? What are the challenges there?
What did you say?
The refi space.
Oh, refi.
Regenerative finance. It's familiar to you?
Forgot about that.
So finance, but less shit.
Regeneration, guys. It's actually a thing. Yes.
Is this it's more ecological, right? It's climate related.
Yeah, it's basically the main scope, at least in my perspective, they are trying to bridge natural assets to on-chain and trying to shift the global shelling points on money towards let's actually regenerate the earth.
I think doesn't this fall into the challenge here is it's the real world asset challenge. It's you're dealing with, you need to have oracles, you need to have something in between, because these the things you're trying to work with are real world things. They're not digital things, right?
Yeah, we need those, and we
have
those.
I think that those types of projects and actually DeSci also falls a little bit into this, where it's you're trying to bridge into these existing industries that are not as digital necessarily. And having that re-feedback loop is really hard. So you can put money in, you can raise money in digital form, you can get it out of the system, digital to fiat into whatever the asset is, but then getting sort of that information back in to see if it actually worked effectively or to follow it up isn't there. I think the same thing happens with that industry.
I mean, it's there. There are
category.
There are different verifications, measuring.
But I think your question is, this is for 2025, right? So
I mean, just by your answer, it's telling me that we are still far away to make that a meme and to make that a global narrative there.
Yeah. Until the yield is better than meme coins, I will wait.
Yeah, this is kind of the thank you.
That's the thing with finance, man.
Yeah, I guess there's two problems with that one, which is the real-world oracle aspect, and also the fact that there's no yield. Even though there is yield, there's yield in our potential futures.
That's a good point. Oxygen from the trees around us, but what are they doing for my portfolio?
So, unfortunately, we need to wrap up this session. So we will go through each of you that we are on stage at the moment. What is the one thing you say to audience regarding the 2025 narrative?
For 2025, I invite everyone to double check the recommendations from their agents and please rotate your keys.
Ooh.
One sentence.
ZK, we've been saying this every year, but ZK will break into the mainstream in 2025.
And then?
I think people are slowly going to figure out that crypto consumer is bullshit.
Then one last thing I want to say is we're going to be again exploited, but we will embrace that.
See you tomorrow at 10:30.